The desert has its own way of keeping promises, you know. Out here, every dawn rolls in with that bruised pink and gold horizon air so sharp it'll slice you clean. Coyotes winding down their last song, rattlesnakes slipping back into cracks you'd never notice if you didn't know where to look. And for just a minute or two, you can almost believe this land is untouched, that nothing can reach you no matter how far trouble tries to walk. That was the promise I thought I'd bought 3 solid acres of Arizona desert, bought and paid for, with the last drops of patience I had for city life. I'm Jack Carter. For almost 3 years, this little patch of earth had been mine and mine alone. No iron gates, no committees, no paint charts telling me what color was or wasn't community appropriate. Just open air silence when I needed it, a house I'd built slow and stubborn until it finally felt like home. I just painted the siding deep blue, twilight sky blue, the kind of color you see when the sun's given up, but the desert isn't ready to let go. Stood back with a brush in one hand and a cold beer in the other, thinking, yeah, maybe I finally made it. And then I saw it. Not trash, though, that's what I thought at first, just something flapping on the hinge of my gate. Nope. It was an envelope. Bright yellow, stamped up top with thick red ink that practically screamed trouble. Violation notice. The wind played at the page as I read. According to whoever sent it, I'd violated community color code protocols and owed $500. $500 for painting my own house on my own dirt. I laughed full belly out loud, the kind of laugh you save for the absurd. Because here's the thing, I was never part of any community. I'd checked those county records 3 times, grilled my realtor, until she swore on her overpriced purse, mind you, that there was no HOA for miles. That was the whole point. That's why I bought out here in the first place. Now somebody wanted me to believe a pack of clipboard crusaders could tell me what color to paint my house. I crumpled the letter, tossed it in the fire pit, struck a match, and watched it curl and blacken, red ink bleeding to ash. I even toasted the flames. The desert doesn't care about bylaws or board meetings. Out here, the rules are weather and stone. Still as that envelope burned, I couldn't shake this itch in the back of my mind. Someone had walked onto my land to leave it. Out here, fences mean something. Gates, posts, boundaries, they're more than wood and metal. They're the shape of your freedom. I tried to let it go, but the desert always delivers on its threats. A couple mornings later, I'm down on one knee fixing the ATV chain when I hear tires on gravel, a sound you get to know pretty well out here. This wasn't any truck I recognized. I wiped my hands, looked up. White SUV stopped just shy of the gate. Out stepped a man who looked allergic to dirt. Slacks, 2 clean shoes that probably cost more than my toolbox clipboard tucked under his arm. "Mr. Carter," he said, voice so smooth you'd think he'd practiced selling insurance to cactuses. He introduced himself, Todd Hayward, president of the Red Mesa Trails Homeowners Association. I stayed crouched by the ATV. He didn't even crack a smile, just started talking about non-compliant color like my home was a coloring book. I stood up, brushed off my jeans, and asked him straight, "You mean my house? On my land? That your HOA's got no say over?" He gave me this little chuckle like I was a kid who'd mixed up my crayons. "Actually, sir," he said, "the community borders changed last year. Your property falls inside Red Mesa's jurisdiction now." That sun was beating down, sweat running off his brow, but he never blinked. So I asked, "And I suppose you've got the deed to my soul in that folder too?" He tried to hand me some papers. I shut him down, told him to take his fines, his folder, his fake border, and leave before I introduced him to the business end of a rattlesnake. He didn't say a word, just turned and marched back to his SUV. But before he drove off, I saw him tapping something into his phone. That's when I knew it wasn't a mistake. It was a move. That week, the desert swallowed the sound, but I kept hearing the echo of his loafers, that smug design standard spiel playing over in my head. 3 days later, white SUV, again, only this time I was waiting, leaning on the porch rail, cold drink in hand. He tried the same show, thicker folder, even brought updated jurisdictional maps. I let him hold the papers out for a good long while just to make it awkward. Cute, I said, but I've got the original maps. And guess what? No HOA. His smile cracked a little then, but he wouldn't back down. Boundaries shift, he said, as if forgery was just part of the growing pains. Is forgery common too? I shot back. That hit a nerve. His confidence slipped. I let him know my land isn't his, and next time he brings fairy tales, he better bring a warrant. He looked up at the cameras I'd installed, then backed off, but not before thumbing another text on his phone. That's when I started digging. County zoning maps, property records. I cross-checked everything. Mine were clean. His were dirty. But dirty work leaves fingerprints. And somebody had moved a line that wasn't theirs to move. That afternoon, a no-subject email popped up. They're lying. Keep everything. Trust no one. SR. Next morning, I walked my eastern fence line, fresh tracks too narrow for trucks, not mine, not the neighbor's, leading straight to the back gate. Cigarette butts crushed in the dirt, one still warm. I don't smoke. No one nearby does. Someone had stood there waiting. I checked my cameras. Nothing but jackrabbits and shadows. Whoever it was, they weren't dumb enough to get caught. Yet. Then came the drone low buzz over the workshop, dipping toward my bedroom window like it belonged there. That was it for me. I opened the gun safe, pulled out my old Remington, and the next time that drone swept in, I let it have both barrels. Boom! Plastic and wires raining down over the scrub. I felt righteous for about 5 minutes. Then the sheriff's deputy knocked young guy looked like he'd never held a grudge in his life. I showed him the footage. He shrugged. Off the record, he said, install a better gate. I called Linda Nash, lawyer, recommended by an old Army buddy, brick through glass, he called her. She took one look at the emails and footage and said, they're bluffing. The maps were sloppy forgeries. Whoever did it left fingerprints all over. She'd already filed a records request with city planning. Keep everything she said and don't confront them alone. They want to paint you as a rogue, don't give them the brush. Sure enough, that's when the HOA cranked it up. Neighbors filming me, fixing a fence, 2 guys in a sedan with cameras parked down the road, flyers on windshields, Facebook posts calling me a dangerous anti-community individual. They even took a still for my security footage. Me with the shotgun slung at my side made me look like I was gunning for the whole world. Linda kept sending me screenshots. They're handing us evidence, she said. They just don't know it yet. Then came the big show. My gate creaked open one morning, and here came Todd Clipboard Brigade in tow. HOA's lawyer, 2 compliance officers, a security guard packing heat. They started measuring, snapping photos, treating my place like a crime scene. I stood my ground, gave them 60 seconds to clear off, clicked off the shotgun safety loud enough for them to hear, fired a warning shot skyward. They hit the dirt and ran for the SUV. Sheriff rolled up not long after. Same young deputy. He watched the footage, handed back my deed, and told me to get a better gate. I almost laughed. But the HOA wasn't finished. The next day, a fat envelope landed in my mailbox, official notice. They were suing me, claiming I'd brandished a weapon, terrorized their personnel, failed to comply with design codes. Linda laughed so hard she snorted. This map is a joke, she said, flipping through their fake zoning records. This isn't just overreach, Jack, it's fraud. We filed a counterclaim. Trespassing, defamation, record tampering. Then the twist, Linda got another email from SR, this one with screenshots. HOA attorney Kent emailing a city zoning guy, I'll owe you a steak dinner for pushing this through quietly. That was the smoking gun. We subpoenaed both of them. Next thing I know, Simon Reed is standing at my door. Mid-30s, looks nervous enough to jump at his own shadow. Turns out he's the whistleblower. He slid a flash drive across my table. Everything you need and I'll testify, he said. He'd been told to delete the original maps, doctor the records. You're not the first, he told me. Just the first who stood up. That one stuck with me. The trial was a circus. HOA painted me as a madman with a shotgun. Linda rolled out the footage, every trespass, every fake map, every crooked deal. Simon testified, laid it out. Kent ordered the forgeries. Todd threatened his job. Linda handed the judge emails, flash drives, a notarized deposition from the city's zoning guy saying he never approved a single change. By the time Linda finished, Todd looked like he wanted to crawl under the defense table. Kent just stared at the floor. Judge Lang laid down her ruling clear as day. HOA committed misconduct, trespass, defamation, and record tampering. Ordered them to pay me $120,000 in damages plus legal fees. Charter to be rewritten, boundaries restored. It was over. I didn't smile until we stepped out into the sunlight. Linda at my side, Simon in the crowd. I'd won not because I had a shotgun, but because I had proof and because I didn't back down. 2 weeks later, the desert was back to its old quiet. I threw a Freedom Friday cookout smoker, fired up neighbors pouring in music, laughter. Even the new HOA president dropped by. Nate Harper dragged in to clean up the mess after Todd resigned. He shook my hand, promised no more measuring tape, no more fake maps. We raised a glass to the sign on my porch. My land starts where your nonsense ends. And that's the real win, not just the legal one. It's knowing you held your ground, you outlasted their lies, you showed the rest that what's right is worth the fight. The desert keeps its promises. So do I. What about you? Would you have stood your ground or just painted over the truth? Drop your thoughts below. Share your own battles, because out here the only thing stronger than the wind is the story you tell when it's all over.